Hey, so I haven't done one of these in a while, so I decided I'd do one on something that I'm personally struggling with today, which is depression or MDD or major depressive disorder. It is, according to DSM-5, a mental illness characterized by prolonged state of sadness, emptiness on the inside, and withdrawal from friends and family, things like that. Um, It's not the easiest one to spot because it will like sneak up on you when you least expect it. Um, my journey with depression has been a difficult one where I was seeing an ENT for my ears because I have rare chronic eustachian tube dysfunction with attic retraction pockets. And he said, my ENT said that if I didn't get a surgery to correct it, I could get cancer or worse. Now, the problem with that is I have a small fear of surgery, and it's I've always had a hard time hearing, and I just figured that after that, my depression just skyrocketed and went off the walls. From there, I went empty inside. I was numb. I was absolutely just depressed. Like I said, empty, the emotional sadness and empty state of mind where you're anxious about everything, but you're so depressed you can't do anything about it. I've had that mindset. Now, other things can cause depression, like losing your house or going homeless. And I've been homeless before. I still am. It's not easy being homeless on the streets, but um, and depression can cause like a gradual worsening over time. Like you'll be mildly depressed one day and it slowly gets worse and worse each day. Or at least that's what mine did. Other people's depression is different from one person to the other. But in my depression, it started off mild, but it slowly got worse and worse. Now, this is going to cover a sensitive topic of self-harm and suicide because I struggle with both of those. So, like I was saying, depression can cause people to feel empty inside. And a lot of the times when somebody feels empty inside, they'll want to somehow figure out how to feel something. So they'll resort to self-harming. And my method is to cut. And I'm not proud of it, but I still sometimes give in. It's not something I can control, and nobody can control it. And that's the thing that nobody actually understands is that when you have depression or any sort of mental disorder and you self-harm, it is not in the person's control. It's not. You can say it is when it really isn't. They'll like cut, like I said, they'll burn, they'll claw themselves, they'll do, they'll take too many drugs, or they'll drink too much alcohol. That's one. Depression can also cause addiction with drugs or alcohol, and I admit I did get addicted to vodka. Um, it's not something I'm proud of. Um, Now, to cover the rest of this, we're going to cover suicide. Now, that is the act of killing oneself, but they say that, I mean, there's this stigma about it where somebody is just looking for attention. No, they're not looking for attention. This is, again, not in the person's control because they are so depressed. It's called a mental illness for a reason. And with this and suicide, I struggle with suicide myself, where I attempted in February by overdosing on my meds. That was not a pretty scene. It was not. And I know there's this whole thing about people being left behind. That is true. People do get left behind with it. Only 30% of people leave notes, though. That's the sad thing. I mean, I would think you would want to like leave a final goodbye to the person, but that's just my opinion. Um, like I said, this is a difficult topic for me to cover because I personally struggle with this. But I mean, I could enlighten you on my story about this. So I've personally tried it 14 times, and it started, like I said, at the ENT, where I learned about my ear condition that can kill me. I started thinking that if this was just going to take me, just let it take me anyway. And I noticed people start like killing houseflies all the time. So I started thinking, I am worth less than a fly, and if people are killing flies that have next to no value, then I deserve to be dead too. And it just slowly got worse and worse. Like I said, depression can get worse slowly. Now, there's something that people don't quite understand is, again, self-harming and suicide is not the person's fault because they're struggling so bad they want to stop the pain. Now, I don't have too much more to say about all this because this is just going to be a short one, but there are ways to get help with depression and suicide and self-harm, which is inpatient hospitalization, where I've had that, and the only helpful hospital that I've been to was Brattleboro Retreat in Vermont. That is the place to go. That is my opinion. But because of COVID, only Vermonters can go there right now. And that's the sad thing. So you have to try and find a place in your area that's good. And it may not be an easy find. Maine does not have the best hospitals. Vermont, I feel, has the best one besides McLean in Massachusetts, but I haven't been there. The other one is therapy, but you need to find a therapist that works for you. There's also medication, but again, you have to find the right medication that's going to help you. Like, I finally found a meds that help. Like, while I was in the hospital recently, they tried to take me off my antidepressant, and I said, excuse me, but this med is keeping me 6 feet above the ground, or it's keeping me from going 6 feet under. Do you really want to stop a med that's helping? Long story short, I got to keep my antidepressant, but the other thing that can help is like support groups, things like that. But of course, there's always one place to go if there is ever a crisis, and it is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is now, instead of that long number, it's now 988. So instead of having to remember the 1-800 number, it's 988 now. So it's a quick dial. There's also the Trevor Project if you're LGBT and you're youth. I'm 23 and I still go to the Trevor Project because I'm gay too, and they help people like that. Um, yeah, so I figured I'd cover a little bit about depression. I might go in more in depth later and cover it in a separate video with a little more detail, but since my depression is taking a toll on me, I don't have much of a brain right now. So I figured I would leave you guys off with this information. Again, the prevention hotline is 988, and Trevor Project you can find easily by going to trevorproject.com. or you can go and text them, and it's called Trevor Text. And I don't remember the number of that, unfortunately. Um, I can look for it at some point. I probably should look for it. The number, actually, I just found it, was 678-678. So the prevention hotline, again, is 988. And Trevor Project, you type start and send that at 678-678. Again, good luck to all of you guys who struggle with depression, and I'll see you guys at the next one.